There's one thing that we're kind of known for that the Department of Natural Resources and the Department of Tourism has been trying to suppress these many years. Yes, I am talking about the mosquitoes. What is that cloud approaching yonder, darkening the skies? Like a million buzzing helicopters coming o'er the rise. Better run for shelter if there's blood still in your veins, 'cause you're now in Minnesota, where a king mosquito reigns. Give me type A, give me type O. Monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. Now we need some ghostly background audience echoes. That's you guys, like this. Give me type A, give me type A, give me type O, give me type O. Excellent. Then you go, Monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. In the sky. Yep, back where I come from up in northern Minnesota, them mosquitoes get mighty big. How big are they? Well, you'll have to ascertain for yourself from the fact that we do have a year-round hunting season on them up there. You have to get a big game license. And you can't even get one if you're married with small children. They can't afford to lose you off the tax rolls. Why, they still tell stories about the monster Minnesota mosquito hunting season of '78 when my Uncle Bill and his brothers are up hunting mosquitoes along the Rainy River along Highway 11 there west of International Falls, Coochiching County. Well, Bill's brothers are off scouting a suitable place for a mosquito blind while Bill stayed back at the cabin to clean his rifle. Turned out to be the mistake of his young life. He had his whole rifle apart, was swabbing it down with an old diaper and some WD-40 when the whole cabin began to shake. What sounded like a herd of chainsaws come roaring out of the woods. And Bill ran out onto the porch of the cabin, only to encounter count them, four of the biggest, toughest mosquitoes he'd ever seen in his whole entire life bearing down on him simultaneously all at once, from every direction, all at the same time. Well, Bill grabbed the only weapon at hand, happened to be a claw hammer, jumped into an empty 55-gallon steel drum, pulled the lid on just in the nick of time. Figured he was safe inside that drum till his brothers got back to rescue him. But then the mosquitoes started boring through the barrel with their stingers. They had carbide-tipped stingers. Well, at least Bill had his hammer with him. As each stinger came through the barrel, Bill bravely bent it over with a few stout whacks. He got the fourth mosquito nailed to the barrel, though, and they flew off with the thing, and Bill was never seen again. Those carnivore mosquitoes plagued a section of the state. We tried to trap them out using an elephant for bait. Check the trap come morning by the rosy light of dawn, and the mosquitoes had made a getaway, and the elephant was gone. Give me type A, give me type O. Oh yes, monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. Up in Alaska, they have a problem with wolves preying on house pets. Up in northern Minnesota, it's not that unusual to see a mosquito flying off with a wolf. Sometimes two. Where else do they use second-hand Brinks trucks for bloodmobiles, armed guards and all? Now you think I'm making this all up, I only wish I were. Those mosquitoes survive the winter in their heavy coats of fur. Sometimes you see them flying in their winter underwear, a full-length coat they've stolen right off some grizzly bear. Give me type A, oh, give me type O, give me type O. Monster Minnesota, mosquitoes in the sky. I could go on all night like this, but suffice it to say there's one story more than any other that people ask me about, and it has to do with the largest Minnesota mosquito sighting on state record. It had to do with my great-grandfather. Art was his name. Art had a farm up in Coochiching County out back in the 1950s. Story goes he was heading out to his barn at milking time one July morning back then, and he saw the biggest mosquito he'd ever seen in his whole entire life trying to make off with one of his prized milk cows. Well, they were already airborne. Art finally brought that mosquito down with 6 slugs from a 10-gauge shotgun. One of those slugs hit that mosquito right between the eye. Landed with a wallop up in the middle of his field. Registered on seismographs down in St. Louis, Missouri. Caused quite a stir among the geologists down there. Several scholarly papers, well, never mind. Anyway, Art waltzed out to his field, came across a smoking crater 40 feet across, 12 feet deep, where the mosquito had landed. He couldn't save his cow, and the mosquito also, strangely enough, had expired. Now, being the waste not, want not type that he was, Art figured he'd at least skin the mosquito and save the hide. He had a buck knife with a 10-inch blade on it, couldn't get it through the hide, it was pretty thick. So he fired up his Husqvarna chainsaw, skinned the mosquito using that. 14 hours later, when he was done, the resulting hide was too heavy to move by hand. He had to tie it to his John Deere tractor and haul it back to the barn that way. Now, all along, he'd planned on nailing it to the barn wall and curing it up like a raccoon skin or something. Soon found out he did not have a barn wall big enough for the hide to even fit on. He had to drape it over the roof and let it hang down the other side. Obscured the entire building from view. Well, word soon got to town about that monster Minnesota mosquito hide out at Art's farm, and the local newspaper sent one of them photographer fellas to take a picture of it. The picture was so big it wouldn't fit on the front page of the paper. They had to use a 3-page fold-out and a Sunday supplement just to publish that thing. The photograph alone weighed over 12 pounds. Hung at the local bait shop for a number of weeks. Well, anyway, all during the summer and into the fall, Art was making money hand over fist, charging people 50 cents a head to come on out to the farm and check out the hide. Well, then the first hard freeze came in late October, froze the hide solid around the barn, and he couldn't get in there all winter long. His cows nearly starved to death. It was a terrible thing. Well, finally, in the springtime came, and the hide thawed a little bit. Art got his chainsaw, and he's cut the whole thing into a bunch of pieces. He's going to throw it all away and be done with it. Then he thought a little bit better of it, and he made it into 212 pairs of leather work gloves, 47 pairs of leather hiking boots, which he donated to the Boy Scouts, and he still had enough mosquito hide left over to reupholster every stick of furniture in his house, every pew in the local Lutheran church, and the front seat of his 48 Dodge pickup. With one piece of hide that remained when all that was done, Art made himself a wallet, which he carried to his dying day. Matter of fact, at the funeral, his dear widow Thelma passed it along to me. I myself have carried it for many years now. There's plenty of good wear left in it. Hard to wear out mosquito hide, tell you that. My song is done, though it's not quite as bad as I have said. Some folks survive mosquito bites, though most of them are dead. If you're attacked while driving, you're the really lucky kind, 'cause mosquitoes take the passengers, but often leave the car behind. Give me type A. Oh, give me type O. Monster Minnesota mosquitoes in the sky. Monster Minnesota mosquitoes in the sky.